Hey guys, welcome back to Storytime 2. They called it a game. Tonight we're going to be reading parts 15 and 16. If you aren't caught up yet, go get caught up. As always, there will be links below in the description to every previous episode. Remember to like, subscribe with that pretty little red button, and then hit that depressing little gray bell to make sure you get notifications. Otherwise, YouTube won't tell you when I post a new video. With that being said, I hope you enjoy tonight's story, and I hope you'll tune in next time for more. Again, we are reading They Called It a Game, episodes 15 and 16. If you're not caught up, go get caught up, and we'll be all set. It was early in the morning. Lori and I were still digging graves from the night before. The fallow fields that were left in the wake of Forge were still littered with bodies, and we only wanted to grant some semblance of dignity to our fellow human beings. So many of the bodies had been scarred and burned, well beyond the point of any recognition. We had spent days digging a mass, unmarked grave. Z? Lori grabbed my attention as we shoveled away the breaking dawn. I don't want to go into one of these. And I won't let Adam. You get me? Lori had always been a woman of many words. It had been strange these past several days to see her so frequently silent. I mean, it made sense. After what happened, I wouldn't exactly be chatty either. I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot of us who can make it these days, and there's a lot that can't. If there's only one thing this whole group does for each other, let's make sure that's it. I don't think I ever want to see another member of Titan just vanish into the ether. This was a tone I had never seen from Lori. She was half demanding my compliance and half pleading with me. It was a little unnerving. She was always among the strongest people I knew. Lori, you're worrying me. You know, as long as we can do anything to stop it, Dave and I are never going to let that happen. I wasn't sure what I could say to be of any comfort. It was almost like I was just fumbling in the dark for something that wasn't even there. I couldn't close this wound. My best hope was to settle the festering nature of the beast. We'll make an announcement. No member of Titan will ever be left on a field or slapped into some unmarked grave. I tried to look Lori in the eye, but there was too much pain in there. I had to back away, so I stared at the ground and simply continued to dig as I spoke. We should build a monument here. Then at least something can speak for the dead. This poor town's little micro-apocalypse won't be forgotten. I mean, even the cultists deserve that. You think? She was second-guessing herself a lot, but at this point I really truly had no words. I didn't know what to make of the scenes before me. There were bodies scattered everywhere. It was still raining ashes from the sky. Much of the fires couldn't be extinguished, and the town has been burning behind us for days. The sun is mostly blotted out by the clouds, and the flames have tainted the skies a sickly orange, not letting us escape the traumatic fight with Forge. We'll get on top of that as soon as we figure out what to do about the Western Front, shouted Dave from the bottom of the hill. He was making his way up to our position, but his armor made it difficult to climb or be generally very agile. However, it turned him into a stalwart wall, which was exactly what he wanted, and he still made far better use of it than most tanks I knew. He was my frontline man, because he was the only tank I knew that could dodge a blow as well as soak one. More got word back to us, and it's not pretty. You guys might want to come check this out. Dave had likely heard most of our conversation already. He had put a lot of energy into his awareness talents. It was more important for a frontline tank to understand the battlefield well, and Dave had always said that hearing everything was sometimes more important than seeing it. He wasn't wrong either. Dave had an almost perfect track record against everything he had encountered. The only thing I had ever seen shake him was Forge himself. So let's get going then, Lori said as she dropped her shovel to her side, her body moving almost like a machine, just following through on a directive. It was an eerie thing to see the wisps of hair she would generally attend just feather across her cheek, painting thin strips of tears, blood, and dirt. I set my shovel down on a mound next to me and began to join her in the trudge. The fields were now frozen over, and the once muddy paths had become beaten trenches that made walking a chore. We had only dug 2 graves between us all night, and with word now coming from the west, we only hoped they would not be our own. Dave ushered us to the war table, where he had gathered some of his finest men. One in particular stood out from the crowd thanks to his diminutive stature. Kashery Glanhack had been with the unit since the fight with Forge took hold. He had been living in the town where the beast roamed for some time, and when he heard of a band of adventurers coming to settle the issue, he gathered up his sword and shield and made way for the battlefield. He had been working with a cheap show katana that he had rebuilt for fighting. The edge was dull and chipped, but he could still plunge it without effort into the bodies of the Forge spawn in town. His shield was an old SWAT shield he had found at the local police precinct, and was definitely showing signs of wear, with cracks in the body and bits missing from the top and bottom edges. He approached us after the battle with a smirk peering through his thick, dreadlocked beard. "Fuck if that wasn't impressive, guys. Need a few more hands?" He chuckled as he spoke up to Davrin, his glittery green eyes darting around the battlefield through thick, bushy brows. "Got a couple of little ninny fist fighters with me. They were hiding out in that Buddhist church back in town. They kept the place in surprising shape, considering they didn't have shit to fight with." Even after this, he would continue to express a distrust for people who fought without the aid of weapons and armor. He said to me once that there was something untrustworthy about someone so willing to die, but he had also expressed in the past an appreciation for their talents. Needless to say, Kashery was a complex man, with complex tastes. Despite that, however, he had provided on more than one occasion a stalwart wall for the rest of us to cower behind. Along with Dave, it was arguable that he might be the best tank we had. "Well, we didn't take you off the streets for nothing, Cash. We needed as many swords as we can get, and yours was pretty damned impressive on its own. I hadn't seen many fighters with the courage to face off against the trials we had overcome on their own. Not even any in our own ranks had the wherewithal to try it alone. Or maybe they just weren't foolish enough to make the attempt. Either way, Kashery had made a heavy impact on us when we saw him, and after we were cleaning up from the fight, we gave him a sword and shield from one of our own fallen, and he marched out of the city with us as though he had been among our numbers from the very beginning. When I looked up again, I had noticed another face that had recently joined us. Lyrical was a strong woman with a gentle smile and soft eyes. If it weren't for the mammoth great axe she kept like a loyal friend by her side, she could easily have been mistaken for a healer, thanks to her gentle demeanor. In the old world, this would have been pretty close. She had spent several years as an assistant in the oncology department of a nearby hospital. When everything came crashing down, she had gathered her friends and family and started a small troop of survivors. We found her people entrenched in a bunker and shivering in the bitter winter cold. As her fellows huddled for warmth, Lyrical was the only one to stand. She clutched the handle of a shovel and approached me with courage and strength emanating from her every movement. It was clear when I saw her that she was going to be a boon to Titan, and that if it meant caring for her people, it would be a small price to pay for her sheer force of will. Her strength of character had been forged in the flames of the world's change, and the battles that raged around us all the time only served to fan the fires of her passionate fury. She carried herself with pride and courage, and stood as an example to us all, in the absence of Uglia, that we are only as strong as we determine ourselves to be. The word coming in from the west was worse than we could have imagined. The people being rounded up were being sent onto trains and trucks and being shipped off to unknown places. We were told that they appeared to be starving and suffering from serious injury, so we could only imagine the purpose of shipping them around. It seemed unlikely they would have the strength to travel, but we needed more information. Well, we wanted more information. We would soon find out that what we needed was something altogether different. That is They Called It a Game, parts 15 and 16. I hope very much that you enjoyed it and that you will tune in next time for our newest episodes. I'm going to try to get back to doing these daily now that I'm home and I have time. But whatever time of day it is, I hope is wonderful for you. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Remember to like, subscribe, click that little bell to get your notifications, and share it with everybody you know. Until next time, guys. Take care.